Sofyan Amrabat to Manchester United has become a matter of urgency following that display of Casemiro in the opening game of the season. But it is a dream debut for Andre Onana, who made a record in his debut for Manchester United at Old Trafford in a competitive game. I'll tell you more about that record as I do give you an update about Harry Maguire and his situation at Manchester United. He has to be paid to leave. Is the West Ham deal under threat? Welcome to the hotspot, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you are. My name is Webb. It's a bad day. I'm a little under the weather because of a cold, but don't you worry. I've got my Dawati here to fix it for me. But let me fix you with some Manchester United news, guys. Now, Sofyan Amrabat is clearly a player Eric Ten Hag needs urgently, and he has come out to admit this. And we know for a fact that Manchester United have been slow a bit in the past days after the signing of Rasmus Højlund. I think focus seem to have shifted to a person to come in and replace Harry Maguire, and Benjamin Pavard and Jean-Claude Todibo were at the top of the talk concerning United and transfers. In fact, there was of course reports we got coming through from Germany. Up to now, we are having updates that Pavard is trying to push Bayern to let him go and join Manchester United. United did inquire about his availability and how much it would cost. So, but as people have been debating about whether it should be Pavard or Jean-Claude Todibo, Manchester United, after that game against Wolves, Eric Ten Hag was clearly not impressed because he had no options. Scott McTominay came in to try and support Casemiro, who had probably his worst game in a Manchester United jersey, and clearly Scott McTominay could not do a lot to support him. So what that means now is that Manchester United have shifted their priorities to back to Sofyan Amrabat, and have a little, you would say, paused the talk of Todibo or Benjamin Pavard. Now the focus is on Sofyan Amrabat, and it is expected that a deal for him could be tabled. It has been reported by all your biggest sources around the world, because clearly, for anyone, if you watch that game, and we know for a fact that Casemiro has got such a rich profile, he's a brilliant player. I don't need to go on and about what he's able to do, but this is something we've already spoken about, and why a backup for him has always been important is because, first of all, we are talking a 30-plus guy who is certainly not going to match the demands and intensity of the English Premier League. Wolves is a club, I think one of the weakest of opponents we'll face this season is Wolves. Many people felt like they were actually relegation candidates after the signing of Willian Lopetegui, their former boss, who were left without money to spend their stock. They signed one player, I think, for about 47 million from Atletico, their most expensive signing. They have been in tatters, but they had the confidence to come at Old Trafford in the opening game of the season and play such a beautiful game. They applied themselves. They were just dancing around Casemiro, and to be honest, they exposed him, and I love the fact that this happened in the first game of the season. Now, if Eric Ten Hag and his team were having second thoughts about bringing in Sofyan Amrabat, I think their work is now cut out. It is clear United has got to sign Sofyan Amrabat because Casemiro, he's gone. We lack a pivot. We played a very poor game because we did lack a pivot in that game. Casemiro was not on duty. He was not good enough for the day. And this is the Premier League, and you can't blame him. He's a world-class player, but his best is behind him. He was when he came there, and he's still needed in the team. He's an important player of the squad. I think he was our most important player in the last season. But clearly, as you would expect, his hunger is no longer there, but also his age and the intensity of the role he plays in the Premier League, I think, demands a player who is younger. That is why Chelsea have been consistently targeting Moises Caicedo. Moises Caicedo is the younger Casemiro. Now, we got Casemiro, who was past his prime, but obviously good, and we needed him at that time. He's the kind of player we needed. But right now, if Kobe Mainoo was there, we would clearly see, probably in the next game, as we play 4-2-3-1 formation, we would physical. But now that Maino is injured, we urgently need to sign Sofyan Amrabat, and I will tell you, in most games, United should be starting with Casemiro playing alongside Amrabat, not Mount, because Mount was many times caught going ahead, like you can see in that image. Mount is flying in. You see where the shirt number 7 is. That is where he's flying in from. And Casemiro was left exposed with about 5 shots surrounding him. He could not match them. At Real Madrid in La Liga, he would. But the only reason United won that game by a goal to nothing, or we did not concede a goal, was one man, Andre Onana, because he actually broke a record that was set by Tim Howard in 2005, the record for the most shots. He conceded the most shots of any goalkeeper United has had since 2005. And we're talking goalkeepers like Edwin van der Sar. We are talking David De Gea. We are talking, who else? I think Barthez was there as well. So many goalkeepers United has had. He has conceded the most number of shots. 23 shots is what he conceded, but he did not concede a goal in his debut. That is why for me he was, I think, a top performer in the game, because people, when he was arriving, people just focus more on the football he plays, his footballing abilities, and people sort of forgot about Onana's goal-stopping abilities. And in that debut, he actually did more ball stopping than even the playing, the kicking. Well, of course, he did a fair ball. He did both, but I think he stood out. He made a statement, because the passing is what we expected, but the goal stopping was impeccable, and that is exactly what we want. So for me, I thought Andre Onana had a perfect debut. He was happy about it himself, but Casemiro clearly now needs Sofyan Amrabat, and United do urgently need Sofyan Amrabat. But what we know is the personal terms were still already agreed between the player and Manchester United. United are now preparing to proceed and bid for him. Now, quickly, also updates concerning Harry Maguire. What we know is that Harry Maguire is trying, and I've told you this before, that we had to pay Harry Maguire to leave Manchester United. That is the kind of contract he's got. Now, United has got to pay him up to between 10 and 15 million pounds. United wanted to give him 6. He wants more if we want him to leave. Otherwise, he will be happy to stay on the bench, because they will not just let go of him just like that. So what we are gathering is that West Ham United are becoming frustrated. The season has started. They have agreed fees with the club, but the player, Harry Maguire, is saying, you know, he's not leaving yet. He has, now the decision is him. His fate is in his hands now. The decision is his now. Now it's a tight situation, because then he will try to grind as much money as he can out of Manchester United, or he would be comfortable staying on the bench. He's 30 and earning 200k a week, and try to fight and compete and come in, like when a player like Lisandro Martinez, who is injured now, like when he's out now, I think he got a minor knock, I think, in the ankle. He would come in and play a few minutes and earn his 200k. So it's an interesting situation. But I think this should be a good lesson for the negotiators of Manchester United to learn going forward. The nature of contracts these players negotiate. When a player is hot, he has got a lot of advantage in terms of bargaining, and the markets are crazy lately. But I think it's a good challenge for the guys in charge of transfers and, you know, negotiations, if we are going to avoid signing players to such unrealistic contracts in the future. Because now we are stuck with the Harry Maguire. We need urgent signings, but we cannot let him go. We have agreed fees with West Ham United. They could get frustrated. Reports are that they are luckily, they are saying they could be a little patient and wait. But how much longer will they wait when the season is on? So they'll obviously move on and try to find other players who are willing to join. So that's a tight situation. That's the precarious situation we are in as Manchester United concerning Harry Maguire. Hotspot, guys, I do remind you to subscribe. Now, away from that, like I told you, there's quite a bit of news about Manchester United, and there is also, of course, takeover news we do here, and this is what we gather, is that soon the Glazers could be announcing an over £7 billion buyout of Manchester United, a sale of Manchester United. I don't want to go so deep into that, because it's a report that has just come through. But where we are, Sofyan Amrabat is becoming now a top target for Manchester United. United do need a backup for Casemiro, and Eric Ten Hag has clearly identified that as a problem for the club. My name is Webb Hotspot. Do subscribe, because this is where we get to burn you with all the hottest Manchester United news. It's a Monday, a new week. But guys, whereas our game was below average to me, I do think there were some few bits of positives we could start off with to try and hope for things to get better as we do continue with the season. Subscribe. I will catch you later.